We have to live in the modern world. We cannot continue to do things in the old way. And climate monitoring and focusing is extremely important because there are very clear areas where we need to have this information. One is what everybody knows about is climate change. The climate is changing because of the weather patterns will differ, and we need to predict this so that we plan whatever we are doing in the short term and in the long term. If we don't have information, we cannot do that. Mr. Speaker, in this country, to a large extent, we still depend on rain-fed agriculture. And if you are going to depend on rain-fed agriculture, we have to know exactly when the rains are coming and then prepare the land and prepare the planting accordingly. We know that our farmers actually don't believe when we get prediction from our weather experts because we are not using up-to-date methodology, so that we plant when the rains are not coming and we lose the seeds, we lose the fertilizers. So this will make it predictable. In fact, in some countries, if there is prediction of when planting should be done and the rains don't come, the farmers can sue the meteorology departments. Now we can't do that because we have not given them the technology that they require. So it is important. Mr. Speaker, look at air transport, even land transport. People move across the world, large numbers of people. We know that air transport is probably the safest. Being in a plane is 100 times safer than being in a car. And that is because we have to know the wind movement, rain movement, and all that. So that is extremely required. Even if you're not going in planes, even on the ground, even in the lake, we lose in the lakes. In Lake Victoria, for example, if we can predict and tell the fishermen that this is how the winds are going to be, this is how the currents are going to be, so many people will be saved. And we can be accurate up to hours or even minutes if we use a satellite. So that is important. Mr. Speaker, we need also to predict animal migration, bird migration, even disease vectors. So if we can know that the birds are migrating this time, like now in the world, there's a problem that people are worried about. In the Arctic, in the island of I think St. George's, there is bird flu among the birds. Now, if we don't know how the birds are moving and we can't predict how the birds are moving, we can end up with an epidemic that we are not aware of. Even just mosquito control, we have been distributing nets. We actually need to know exactly when to distribute nets. When we are doing indoor residual spraying for control of mosquitoes, we need to know when the rains are going to be and when the mosquitoes will then breed, and when do we then give the nets, and when do we do the spraying. Disaster management, we are discussing a bill in the House on disaster management, disaster preparedness. The biggest disasters we have here are actually drought, floods, landslide. And all of these all are things that we can predict if we have good weather forecasting and monitoring. And the only way to do it is to actually go digital and get these satellites in the air and protect our people, predict disasters, predict diseases, predict when to plant, and so that we live in harmony with the environment. With that, Mr. Speaker, I do support.
Thank you, the Honourable Member for Dagoretti South. You want to speak on this? Okay. The Honourable Yusuf. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion by Honorable Haro. Mr. Speaker, now in this world, now being the era of technology, we need to embrace technology and IT. What Mr. Haro has today brought is something that we need to impress. as a country. You can remember, Mr. Speaker, during the floods,